Namaste, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny. How's everybody tonight? I'm doing good. It's been only 4 days since our last live. Let me know if you guys can hear me or if you can't hear me. And I feel like so much has happened. I mean, I feel like just there was this amazing surge of energy over the last few days. I don't know if y'all felt that. Looks like I'm on YouTube. Good. Let me make sure I'm in the fellowship. I'll try to check on you guys in the fellowship too, but all right, good. Looks like we're live. I'm just going to give that a like and then I'm going to put that down for a second. All right. How's everybody? Let's see. We have some chat going on. 5x5, Golden Timeline. Lori here from Look Up. Hello. Golden Timeline, can you hear me? Good. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to be here. Listen, wow. So let's see. Friday was the last time we talked, and we talked about the Venus transits through Scorpio and Ophiuchus and that burned path. Just this intense transit that Venus is starting for us. And Mercury just entered Libra, and the sun is still in Virgo. And then we've got Mercury or Pluto and Mars in opposition to each other, both on their cuspy cusps. So we have a lot of cuspy energy. We have a lot of what we call critical degrees going on. And I really feel like that is what the surge was. So I worked both Saturday and Monday, 24-hour shifts. And starting, I want to say like early Sunday morning, all the way until early this morning around 2:30, the patients just kept coming in. I mean, it was constant, and it wasn't all serious. It wasn't all bad stuff, but like it was just so busy. It was amazing. So yeah, I was wondering, whenever stuff like that happens, I'm like, what is going on here? What is it? Is it solar flares? No, it wasn't. I'll show you guys the sun weather here in just a minute, but um, it wasn't that. No X flares going on, but we do have a lot of cuspy energy. So we're going to get into that. And then I also wanted to teach you guys about time zones. I know that seems like a basic concept, but I wanted you guys to know where the resources are, where you can go to find out what time zone you are in, how you differentiate that from someone else's time zone, because we're a global or a realm culture now, collective. We have to be able to talk to each other across the world. So I think if we can know where each other is, orient ourselves to time and location, I think that gives us a little bit of an edge. So I'm just going to show you that resource, and then we're going to get into critical degrees, and then we're going to do the astrology. So we're going to talk about Pluto and Mars specifically. So I have some really deep Pluto energy to go into with, and then I also want to share Mars energy with you right now. And then I want to show you what Mars is going to do over the next several months. We don't get to do this all the time. Mars pretty much moves in one direction at a nice, slow and easy pace. But over the next few months, he's going to do a retrograde, and it's a lot. Mars retrograde's tough. So if any of you guys have a constellational placement of Mars between Gemini and Cancer, you're going to have the transiting Mars do a forward and retrograde and back again. So it's a big time for you guys. Anybody that has that Mars. Where's everybody's Mars? Mine's in Leo. So I had that last summer. Let's see. How's everybody feeling? Let's see. Lori said she slept all day, still in her robe. Good. That's awesome. I took a nap today after I got home from work. Yep. Feels weird now with less daylight, Pacific Standard Time. Yep. Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you a concept called universal oh, I forgot. It's UTC, but they say it backwards. So it's like collective universal time or something like that. So we're gonna look at that. Golden Timeline has Mars and Taurus. Lori has Virgo. Hey, Teresa, thanks for coming. Cool, yeah. So hopefully you guys got to watch that Venus transits on Friday, because that's going to be good. We're in it. And now that Mercury's in Libra, I think we're going to be in a really good place too, because I think that Mercury is exalted in Libra. I think he does a bad job in Virgo, and I just like to see the two switched, and I'll show you guys that too. So cool. Yeah, I just got off I just finished watching the broadcast with Archaics with Waters Above and Logan from Decode Your Reality. Man, that was so good. They just wrapped. So majorly cool stuff. All right, we have Silvana from Queensland. Nice to be here live. Yeah, that's great. Queensland, Australia. That's okay, Teresa. That you can watch the Venus. It's until I think I forgot how far we go, but it's about a 3.5 week transit, so we're just in the middle of it. Cool. All right. Well, let's see, and then we've got Harains. Hi, Dr. Danny. I'm stoked to catch you live. Hope you're well. Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm a little tired. The last two shifts I worked, I didn't really get to sleep a lot, and unfortunately, I cannot break my addiction to sleep. I need it or I'm going to die. I've learned to live with less of it than most people, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to sleep pretty hard tonight. So, Quantum Mania from New York City. Hello, hello, and welcome. Thanks for coming. All right. Good. Let me get into it. Let me share my screen and we'll look at the solar flares. And I have the time zone websites, and then I've got a couple of channels I want to shout out. Fellow traveler says, "Hi, Danny. Did you hear Jason say he wants to create a circular chart for Ovis?" I was like, "Yes, that dude's an astrologer, even though he doesn't know it." I tried to tell him that. That's okay. We'll talk him into it. Jody Hardy from NZ from New Zealand. Wow, this is awesome. So I guess you guys are like what, 18 hours ahead? So it's already Wednesday afternoon for you guys. Yeah. Cool. All right, let me share. I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. Here, let me see what's going on. Let's see what we're looking at. All right, so this is the solar flares for the last 22 or 2 days. And what I noticed is that, and I look at this every day, so it's why it's interesting to me, is that this, if you guys can see down here, I'm sharing, right? Yeah. If you guys can see down here, you can see how there was like an uptick right at the time I was talking about it. It's like it's not just C flares; it's like all the time C flares. You know, so I wonder if that's part of the intensity that we're feeling. But I actually think it's the astrology because when I look at it, I'm just like, wow, this is 3 sort of critical degree points in the chart right now, and when they're transiting, you feel it. It's when you leave one constellation and you move into the next one. And a lot of people get into the weeds about like 29 degrees versus 0 degrees, but you really can't do that with constellational astrology. All right, I did put together a little PowerPoint for you guys because I can't help myself. It just keeps me straight. Okay, let's talk about time zones. So when you see a time zone from the other side of the world, for example, those of you in New Zealand, when I put 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time, that might not mean a lot for you. But when I put the notation -5 UTC, I'm going to show you how to use that so that all of you can start, whenever you set up any meetings or anything like that, you can use the UTC abbreviation. And most people that are serious about wanting to know where they are in time and space will also know this. And so will you now. So I'm just going to use my time zone, for example, just for this quick point I want to make. And then I'm going to show you time and date and how you can get which time zone you're in and what that means synchronized to the universal coordinated time. That's what it stands for, universal coordinated time. And I think if you say it in a different language, they switch it up so it's UTC. But at any rate, UTC is always right at the prime meridian. It's a longitude point in space on our map. It goes through Greenwich, England, and it is literally where it's time 0. So UTC 0 would be the prime meridian, and UTC never actually changes from daylight to standard time like a lot of countries do. It stays with standard time. So for example, where I am right now in central daylight time in the United States, in about a week, we go back to Central Standard Time. So a lot of us have 2 time zone abbreviations. We'll have our daylight and we'll have our standard time. So currently we're in daylight time, and that is -5 from the UTC, meaning that the prime meridian, that longitude, it is currently 5 hours ahead of me. So if you take the prime meridian and it's 0, in my time zone, I'm a negative from the UTC. Now, if you live in Australia, you're going to be like +12 or +8, somewhere around there with your UTC time. So if it's 3 p.m. there, then it would be like +11 or +12 UTC. We'll look at it in a second. Regardless of whether you're using daylight, if you're using daylight, it's -5 for us. If we go to standard time because the clocks go backwards, then it's -6. So my time zone changes from -5 to -6 UTC in about a week and a half. So let's take a look at this website, Time and Date. It's an awesome resource for you guys to look at time zones. You can go by alphabetical order where you live, and what it'll do is it'll give you your UTC and what time it is in Universal Coordinated Time. So, for example, let's say you're in. Um, we can go to my time zone, Central Daylight, right here. Um, It's UTC -5, but when I go to Central Standard Time, which will be right here, or Central Time, it'll be -6. So, let's see if we can find Queensland, Australia. PQ, they don't have Q. Uh-oh. Let's try Australia. Let's see if there's Australian Western Daylight and Australian Standard. Yeah, so that would be +9. I don't know if Queensland's in Australian Western or not, but at any rate, you can see how it's +9, and it's like so the way that we would do it in order to coordinate our time zones between Australian Western Daylight Time and Central Daylight Time in the United States, we would take -5 +9, and we would say to each other, "Okay, my Australian friend, you are 14 hours ahead of me." I hope that makes sense because I am -5 and they are +9. So we are 14 hours apart. So if I say, let's meet at 7 p.m. my time, we should know immediately how many hours my Australian friend would need to calculate. That way you can also give the person that you're trying to meet the time for them. Okay. So if someone is trying to speak to you from their time zone and it's just one that you're not familiar with, if you know exactly what time zone they're in, you can go to the UTC and you can figure out how many hours apart you actually are. It's easier than just trying to figure out, you could always go in and type what time is it in the city and then look at your watch and try to figure it out. But if you know which UTC time zone you are in, then you can do that a little bit easier and you can do it more quickly. So here's another way you can look at it. This is if you go to Time and Date, it usually knows where you are because that's how the internet is. It knows exactly where you are all the time. So it will give uh, it will give me certain UTC times. So, for example, Eastern time, which is New York, is -4 UTC, and London is +1 because they're 15 degrees over. So let's see what this looks like graphically because I'm hoping I'm making sense. Um, when you look at like a world map here, this is obviously, not done to scale. It's distorted a little bit, but it gives you an idea of how they do the time zones. The time zones are basically 15 degrees of longitude. You can calculate 15 degrees into nautical miles, but it has to do with curvature and all that stuff. But basically, when we use degrees and arc minutes and arc seconds, it has to do with around a circle. Okay. But 15 degrees is essentially each time zone. And when you get to land, they break it up a little bit. They tend to have these lines follow rivers or state lines or country borders and things like that, just so that everybody in the country is the same time zone. This is a nice little conversion chart too. So if, for example, you know that you're -5 and my friend is +8, 9 p.m. For me would be, we would just follow this over. You guys should screenshot this and it would be 10 a.m. Okay, so that's how you can use this chart. This was provided by copradar.com. So that's where I got that. So I hope this is helpful for you guys because when you bring in the UTC, it brings in a what do you call it, like a translator key for you to talk about time zones. If we're going to be talking about the human collective, we need to be able to talk the same language, I think. So, how did that resonate? Do you guys understand that? Teresa's like, my eyes always glaze over when doing UTC. Well, hopefully, just diving into that a little bit made sense to you. It's basically just one meridian away, those numbers from the prime meridian. Yeah. Lori, the time change is a whole other like thing. I wish we could just leave it where it is. I don't care which way it is, because if I'm in a time frame where I don't have a lot of nighttime, but I have a lot of morning, I'll get up early and do stuff. I just always, this time of year is always really, really hard for me because the daylight gets shorter and shorter, but my work schedule, like the time I have to be places makes sense. So Adonai Blackwood said she's UTC -7 here. Yeah. So we're 2 hours apart. So yeah, go back and review that part of it. Guys, it's just a nice way to communicate with each other. I see a lot of astrologers picking that up and using it, and so whenever I post a time frame, that's what I'm going to use. And if you guys know what UTC and the number you're in, then you will know exactly what time to be where. So that helps with the classes and things like that, and that helps with you know getting on these lives and catching them live, because sometimes people miss them because they don't realize what time zone it's in. Cool. All right, good. Everybody gets it. So let me see. Where do I want to go next? I think I want to look into this PowerPoint again, but let me just think about it real quick. Yep. Let's talk about critical degrees now. So when you're doing tropical astrology, the sky is parsed out into 12 equal slices of 30 degrees of the circle that we use as our zodiac. So when we talk about critical degrees, we're talking about the very last degree of one sign and the very first degree of the next sign. So basically right there, like between 1 and 29, depending on what resource you read, some will say exactly 0 degrees. It's often called cusp energy as well. And what you get is you get an extreme rush of power. And so it's the very end of a constellation. It's the planet's sort of last hoorah or party with that particular constellation. And now they're moving into a new energy. And so you can kind of think of as a planet moves through the constellation, it's going through an evolving process. So it goes in there and it might, in the first few degrees, it might not quite feel the energy. It might feel a little bit foreign to that particular planet. But then as we move forward and further into that particular constellation, by the time we get to the end, if the lessons are not learned, if the evolution hasn't taken place, then we get a little bit of a challenge with the last degree. And a lot of times people will also use that in natal charts, but I feel like I'm not really sure why this is, but I feel like cusp energy in a natal chart tends to be a little less intense. And it could be like for the person. So I'm not really sure. I've always kind of thought of that cusp area as a blend of the two energies, not as extreme when it comes into a natal chart, but with the dynamic aspects. When something's actually in motion, which is what we are studying here, we're looking at the planets in motion so that we can see what lessons, what sort of guidance, what waves of energy are coming towards us. Then we might want to look at these critical degrees. And I was talking to my good friend Michael Hartigan. He taught the Uranus class with us a couple Fridays ago. He and I were just having a chat, just kind of looking at each other's astrology, and he basically said that, because I said, some of these techniques that the tropical astrology has preserved, will it work in the constellation? And he goes, fuck yeah, it will. I said, okay. He goes, because they learned it from the constellational astrologers from antiquity. They just codified it into something that didn't need all the calculations. We weren't really allowed to look at the sky. We weren't really allowed to use telescopes. And so, like, it just seems to make sense to me that, we could maybe potentially explore this. And so that's what I did. I went ahead and I looked at it, and we've got 2 planets on cusps in tropical. I did do a tropical analysis, you guys. You'll be proud of me. And then when in constellational astrology, we have 3 cusp energies over the last couple of days. So I'm going to show you both, and I'm going to let you guys kind of decide what you think is happening. All right. Lynn says, hey, I made it to live. Yay. All right. Teresa says, I wonder if that would be an exhale or an inhale in that transit. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could look at it like that, an ebb and a flow of energy, but the point I want to make is that it's a movement, okay? It's not, there's not like one hard line you're going to have. Like, we didn't have 1 hour of people flooding the ER. We had literally 48 hours of it at the hospital over the weekend. So, that seems to me, that feels like a planetary transit from one constellation into the next. And so we'll take a look at that. Let me see where I am. Yeah. Okay. So let me just make 3 points about critical degrees that you might find in constellations. And this is just based on sort of the common astrology knowledge. So what I just went over, the first and the last degrees of a constellation, also eclipse points. So if you're within a year of any eclipses occurring in any degrees of your constellation, those might also be critical degrees for the moon, for the sun, okay? Also fixed star conjunctions within a 1-degree orb. I think those are also critical degrees, and it really just depends on the nature of the star. And so sometimes I wonder, when you look at some of the tropical astrology literature, they go into this degree and this mutable sign, and it's these 5 degrees and that cardinal sign. And it's just weeds of these degrees that you can go down rabbit holes on, but it may be associated with the stars. So these next 2 slides are going to kind of amaze you, I hope. That was my intention of putting these together. And what I did is, on the top, you're going to see a zodiac belt that is aligned with the actual constellations. Okay, so this top one, these delineations between Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer are aligned to the actual constellations. So we have Pisces, Aquarius, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. And you can see the constellation behind them. And this is today, by the way. You see the constellations behind him. Gemini is in Gemini. Taurus is in Taurus. Aries is in Aries. Pisces is Pisces. Aquarius, Capricorn. Okay. So that's what we're doing with constellational astrology. It's really that simple. And so for me, the critical degrees on this band will be the cusp between Cancer and Gemini. Okay. And this cusp is kind of fuzzy, actually. There's a little bit of a debate as to where that line is exactly. It could be this way just a little bit, but Mars is sitting right there today. But the last 2 days, Mars was right over here. So Mars is just kind of in this cuspy energy, and I've been really tuned into Mars for obvious reasons. We're getting that class together and everything, and we've got 6 enrollments so far, so that's awesome. But I feel like Mars went through this cusp over the last few days. I don't really see any other cusps on this side of the sky, but I circled these because I wanted to show you where the larger, slower moving planets are. And I equated it with the tropical. Down here, you'll see the tropical zodiac. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that. If you can't, zoom in, but you'll see they've got Jupiter in a totally different sign, even though the stars are Taurus. So you see the Gemini symbol, but you see Taurus stars. You see the Pisces stars, and you see Aries over top of that. So what you've got is an agreement here between tropical and constellational astrology as to where the sign that Neptune and Uranus are in. But you can see why, okay? Because we're in the very early degrees of Taurus for Uranus in the constellations, but in the tropical signs, we're at the end. So that's where we agree. We also agree along the position of Neptune. But which one of these energies is in the more evolved space is my question, because for our system, we still have very early transits. In their system, they're at the end of the transits. They're approaching the critical degrees of their signs, of their calendar. So I just thought that would be a really interesting comparison for you guys to see. And I did do the other side of the sky because this the other cusp is Pluto, and then Mercury is also on a cusp in the critical degrees, or has been over the last couple of days. So here we have the other side of the sky, guys. So the top, once again, is all constellations. So each one of these signs of the zodiac correspond to the background constellation that's in the sky. Leo is Leo, Virgo is Virgo. We are still Virgo season. This is today. But look, Mercury's right here on the cusp. And over the last 2 days has transited from Mercury to Libra, from Virgo to Libra. Here we have Venus in Scorpio and then Pluto on the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn. Okay. Whereas tropical astrology, because this one down here is tropical, remember, and we've got the constellation of Leo in the sign of Virgo. We have the sign of Virgo spanning Libra and Scorpio. Then we have the constellation of Libra in Scorpio. We don't have Ophiuchus. We've got Ophiuchus in Scorpio in Sagittarius, and then we have Sagittarius in Capricorn. So this is the tropical understanding of the sky, okay? Now, what's super interesting is that for us, we have an additional critical degree energy, which is Mercury, along with Pluto and Mars. But we've also got in tropical, we have the sun on the very cusp of the Libra Scorpio critical degrees. So you can imagine there's a lot of people out there right now going, oh my goodness, the critical degrees of Libra and Scorpio. I mean, if you search for it, you'll see it. There's this, oh my God, like it's some sort of scary, horrible thing, but it makes me laugh because if your birthday is today and you're telling people that you were born on the cusp of Libra and Scorpio, you're actually still a Virgo. Like that's how far off it is. And I know that upsets people sometimes, but I really, this energy was borrowed to create this 2,000 years ago when the constellations were somewhat aligned to the sky, to the signs. The first day of spring was 0 degrees Aries, but it's not anymore. Now it's in Pisces. Now it's at the very last degree of Pisces, and that's how we get our astrological ages. You can't use 0 degrees Aries as your first day of spring and say that you're coming into the age of Aquarius. It just doesn't make sense. So at any rate, here we go. We have this cusp of the critical degrees of Mercury between Virgo and Libra, and then Pluto between Sagittarius and Capricorn. All right, let me make sure you guys could see that and get it and love it. All right, let's see. 3 cusp energies for sure. Lynn says, thank you, Danny. I studied under Ike and have been watching your clips for a long time now. I really appreciate your shares and connections. Thank you for being, oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Lynn's. Yeah. I catch Ike's shows every now and then just to see what he's up to. Yeah. He's a good teacher. The African Wolf says, peace to the chat. And Laurie had a blessed Saturday. It was kind of surreal. Yep. Thanks for posting that Mars link. Yep. Illustrations are really excellent, informative, never imagined as such helps. Good. A Green says pre-cataclysm sky. Yep. So much is inverted, makes total sense. Elon, howdy from Grapevine, Texas. Hello, fellow Texan. Ooh, we have 33 in the chat. Special number. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there and listening to me. All right. Let's see what's next. What do I want to talk about next? I think I want to get into the energies next. Oh, I want to look at charts. I actually generated a tropical chart for you guys too, so that you could see what it looks like for those of you that are familiar with tropical astrology more than you are constellational astrology. Sometimes it helps to see the two in different aspects. So let's take a look. All right, put that down and we'll go into here. Okay. All right. So here is our tropical chart. So you can see that the 12 signs perfectly equal. And I'm not trashing the system. I'm just saying this codex here does not align to the sky. That is all I'm saying. And for me, because this system came from a system where astronomy and astrology were one science, that's what I want to go back to. I don't think we need to keep it out unaligned from the sky anymore. I think we need to keep it aligned. That way our cosmology is aligned with what the universe wants for us. So here's their sun on the cusp of Libra and Scorpio, and here's Pluto about to enter Aquarius. And I hear a lot about this. And when in reality, we've actually got Pluto right here. And I mean, I don't know what that means necessarily. I mean, I love the idea of having sort of Pluto come through and sweep out this new Aquarian age. But I think we have some work to do first. And I think our constellational charts say that, um, because as we've been transiting through the constellation of Sagittarius with Pluto, we're digging up, we're digging up, we're reevaluating, we're facing our deep spiritual truths. Um, we're transforming our spiritual truths. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't believe pretty much anything I believed 15, 20 years ago. Like, that's all changed. And so the life around me that I create will also necessarily change. And so us as a collective, because remember, these charts are our collective energy, these dynamic aspects in motion is moving our collective energies in a certain direction. And so when we're done with Sagittarius, this is our last chance. We only have a few degrees of Pluto left in Sagittarius to really face the foundation and the core of our beliefs to make sure that they authentically align with what we want to accomplish. And then the work happens in Capricorn. So, and that'll be, another, it won't be as long as Sagittarius, but then that'll be the real Aquarian age, another, 12, 15 years of Capricorn. And then we have Mars on the cusp of Cancer and Gemini, and they're in opposition to each other. So we're gonna kind of explore some of these energies. We're gonna explore Pluto in Sagittarius and Capricorn, Mars and Gemini in Cancer, and then we're going to explore Mercury in Libra. So let's see what this stuff feels like. These are slides directly from my courses, guys. And I share them with you because this is what we do. I pull together this basic sort of template slide deck. And I got a whole bunch of new audio visual equipment. And this Mars class that we're getting ready to do a live with in 3 weeks, the modules for the signs and the houses are already available in that course with the nice AV equipment. So it's not a shitty Zoom recording. Like, you guys are paying for quality modules. And then what we're going to do on Tuesday, the 12th of November, is we're going to get together and I'm going to take Mars in aspect to the other planets in the chart. So we're going to talk about how those aspects manifest themselves. And we're going to do that using your charts. So if you're in the class, if you're with me on this rollout, we're going to anonymize your chart, but we're going to pull it into the presentation. And then I'm also going to show you cool things you can do with Mars. And then we're just going to chat. We're going to go through some of the astrology of that day as well before we hit record. The live modules are always recorded. And then once we're done with the live, I post it. So that'll be available too. You've already got 2 hours of videos on there. You've got a meditation, you've got a breath work, all to get into the energy of Mars. If you join the fellowship, I put a post up there to tell me your Mars. And I'm kind of using some of these interpretations that I've developed for you guys, and it's resonating. All right. And it's a nice way to feel about Mars, because once you can identify where some of that energy is, where that pent up action is, where your dharma is, where your family karma is, oh man, it's amazing. So Pluto in Sagittarius. This part of the green part comes from, is adapted from Stephen Forrest's The Book of Pluto. Very loquacious, very wordy book. And when I did the Pluto class, I took that data and I made it really easy for you. But basically what he does is he takes 5 different dimensions for both the house and the sign for Pluto energy. And so this is for people with Sagittarius Plutos, which is only going to be people that are maybe younger than 20 years old. I also provide the cycle dates for when Pluto is in Sagittarius that are accurate with the constellations. So the last one was 1759 to 1776, which is what a lot of people are talking about. They're talking about the Pluto return for the United States, because 1776 is when the United States wrote the Declaration of Independence and claimed its independence. The last cycle was 2007 to right now. This is it. This is the last transit through Sagittarius, and the next cycle won't be until 2255. So the passion for a Sagittarius Pluto is to literally it's like you take the sign energy and you take the intensity of Pluto and you combine the 2. So it's stretching out into new and unknown directions, learning and growing with thrilling realizations. Like, isn't that Sagittarius, but taken to a whole Plutonian level? The style of a Sagittarius Pluto is thriving on risk, full of enthusiasm, hates to be bored and appreciates boldness and loves personal freedom. There's a blind spot, though, in Sagittarius and a shadow. So the blind spot is foolishness, lacking the wisdom of pessimism. So, yeah, isn't that interesting? Like, if you're not pessimistic enough, can you think about what might happen to you? You know? Like, I feel like there was a phase of foolishness for our collective through Sagittarius, blindly believing, right? Without having that pessimism, without taking that black pill and realizing certain things. So the shadow of this is glib rationalization, glossing over mistakes and dark pride. But the saving grace is desire for expansion, risk and adventure create a pure aliveness and a willingness to go beyond the familiar. So Pluto is the lord of wealth, and this energy can create riches and unimaginable futures. And a lot of people gained quite a bit as Pluto moved through Sagittarius. So what's Pluto in Capricorn going to feel like? So this is from 2024 to 2040. The last cycle was 1776 to 1792. And this period of time was when America was building itself, the young baby America that just said, I'm on my own. The people that declared the independence were the one raising the children that were born at this time. And then those people were the ones that built this country. The current cycle will be from 24 to 2040. And then after that, 2272. So again, we have 5 different dimensions of Pluto and Capricorn. For the collective, this is about building those structures around the new beliefs. But the passion of Pluto in Capricorn is vast and noble undertakings, great explorations and feats of great constructions and feats of exploration. So wow, this is like building, like smart cities or spaceships or colonies on planets. All those things could potentially, we could reach the stars with Pluto here, in a way that we never imagined possible. And the style is enthusiasm for longevity and eternal appeal, mastery, virtuosity, character, integrity, productivity, social order, and attainment of practical goals. Capricorn's also government. So our governments are going to change and transform in ways that might surprise us too. I mean, who knows? But whatever is on the foundation that's weak, Pluto and Capricorn is going to take that away. The blind spot with Pluto and Capricorn is a lack of wisdom, and it can lead to over control of useless endeavors. So, like, just striving for the sake of striving, even though it's not something that anyone really needs, like there's no value to it. And then the shadow can be an obsessive use of power that's overly controlling. So we have to watch this with our governments, right? We have to take ownership and say, this is what we want. We don't want to give up our freedoms for like the ultimate safety either. That gets us in trouble. That's sort of Saturn and Aquarius. But the saving grace here with Pluto and Capricorn is a discipline, a realism, and a seriousness of purpose that allows spiritual principles to durably manifest in the physical world. And that's the whole point, I think, of Pluto moving through Capricorn and going into Capricorn, to manifest spiritual principles in the physical world, the spiritual foundation that we created, that we destroyed and recreated through Sagittarius. Let me check on you guys. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Who do we have here? Okay. We have Kaki from Southeast Texas. Hello with a heart. Lori needs to visit Texas. Have a lot of friends there. Yep. Including me. The African Wolf is a Texan. Yay. All these Texans. Marla Pickering. Hello and welcome. Thank you. All right. Yeah. You should get that Stephen Forrest book. It's a lot of reading though, just to get to the good parts. But that's okay. I mean, if you need a story, that's good. There's some also really dense astrology books that are very hard to read. So I guess it just depends on the author. I might have to put a book together soon myself. Would you guys buy my book if I wrote a book? It's all about the title, I'd have to think about something that would be, catchy. Like, I don't know. I think I would call it The Human Handbook for the Aquarian Age or something like that. Cool. All right, let's get back into it because I'm going to talk about Mars. Okay, we're going to get into Mars. I'm going to share a couple of Martian slides for you guys just to give you a little taste of what we're going to do in 3 weeks. So we have Mars on the cusp of Gemini and Cancer, and this. Remember, I told you this border is a little bit fuzzy when we get into the nitty gritty of it. So we'll read both. We'll read what that transition feels like for Mars. So we start in Gemini, and Mars in Gemini is a warrior that fights with words. Okay, so it's through thought rather than desires, mental rather than physical. So you're quick-witted, prompt about sort of Mars's movement through Gemini and how it was different through certain parts of Gemini. There's an evolution in each sign as a planet moves through it, as the sun moves through it, as Mars moves through it. This particular natal placement could cause death of or estrangement from a brother or sister, trouble through letters, literary or educational matters, accidents or death while on a journey or outside of the house, and the lungs might be affected. So this is what we're learning for Mars and Gemini. And when we actually do the live class, we're going to pull all of this together. So when we have a chart in front of us, we're going to see maybe a Gemini Mars in the 4th house, and then it's aspected to, say, Pluto and Jupiter and what that means. Now, this is where Mars is now entering. So this is what traditionally is called the toughest spot for Mars. There's strong passive-aggressive tendencies. There's a dualistic nature here with contrary stances. So it's almost like there's this hidden action behind Mars in Cancer. There's loyal devotion to mother, to family, to the native land. Intense relationships will actually, with the family, so like mothers, siblings, things like that, will divert your gaze from yourself. And really the lesson of Mars through Cancer is to know and to see themselves in a loving way. Otherwise, they will suffer feelings of abandonment, estrangement, and loneliness. Typically, Mars in Cancer has a very successful family and served well by ownership, land ownership, and ways to make passive income. And you're one of those people that's a safety net because you always tend to be very wealthy. This person fights with their feelings. Okay, so when we look at our chart, we've got this sort of busy, intellectual, thought-provoking action energy, and now we've got emotional energy. So it's a big difference. It's like from air to water. You feel like you go from busy, busy, busy to kind of slow and sleepy. And so that last frantic push of action, in my opinion, I feel like that is what caused like everyone to be out and about over the weekend. It was just that last frantic surge of Gemini energy before Mars dynamically entered into what would be the stars of Cancer. So there we have that. And then we also have Mercury right at a critical degree. So this is today, but on Saturday, Mercury was right here at the very end of Virgo. And hopefully you guys have been watching my other videos, my lives, when I talk about the rulerships of Virgo and Libra, Venus and Mercury, how that might be a little bit different in our newer cosmology and our new age, because I originally think that rulerships were developed because of the distance of the planets from the Earth and from the sun. I don't think it necessarily had to do with domination. And when we really dive deep into Virgo energy and understand what that archetype represents, Mercury is terrible at it. He's good at the mental stuff, but he's not good at sort of the physical wizardry creation aspect of Virgo that Venus is so incredibly good at. Or you could take the collective of the asteroids that once made that divine feminine world that we no longer have because of a cosmic trauma. But I love Mercury in Libra. So first of all, Mercury was an energy, a god that went from the underworld and back. And you guys, that's what Libra is. It's the pathway between the underworld of Scorpio and the earth of Virgo. The the end of Virgo is a death, the beginning of Virgo is a birth, and it's the whole cycle. Okay, so Mercury transmits. Mercury goes from the underworld and back, and Libra is that space between life and death where you weigh your heart against a feather. And if your heart is heavier than a feather, then there's something you have to negotiate. There's some karma you have to let go of. There's something that needs to be released. And that can be released with Mercury, because Mercury's like, okay, I'm gonna release this and I'm gonna get this back for that. And it's not an emotional energy. It's just a restoration of balance so that your heart can become lighter than the feather as you move through the underworld, because that's where the real creative power is tapped into. So Mercury here is like he's like a mediator. He's like a concierge. He's a representative, someone that works pro bono simply to restore the balance. And I like that. Whereas in Virgo, it's the divine feminine sold to the highest bidder, and 2,000 years of women hating themselves and each other because they're just a few pounds overweight, or they, one of their eyes crosses funny. But it's I just love Mercury here as the leader of Libra. So this is what we have right now. So I feel like those last few degrees of Virgo, where Mercury's got to like kind of let go of that old role and is now moving into Libra. So we're in like a new job, and it feels like a breath of fresh air, because even after that surge of energy, it felt really good. It feels like we're pulling in something higher and greater than ourselves with this activity of the sun. So let me show you the traditional rulerships, okay? So you guys can understand what I mean when I say distance from the sun. We have sun in Leo, and we have moon right next to uh, sun in the sky anyway, in terms of luminosity. Leo is a very obvious constellation. Cancer is not. So they put sun and moon together because they work together. There's the expressive energy and the inward energy. And then the two constellations on either side of sun and moon are Gemini and Virgo. So since Mercury's closest planet to the sun, let's go ahead and put Mercury there. Venus is the next planet out from the sun. So let's just do this Taurus and Libra deal. And then Mars is the next one. So let's just put them in Aries and Scorpio. Then it's Jupiter with Pisces and Sagittarius, and then Saturn in Capricorn and Aquarius. But this doesn't work because Mercury's thought, Mercury's mental energy, and that's cool with Gemini, but like Gemini's or Virgo's an earth sign, Libra's an air sign. So why not do this? So you guys have heard me talk about this before. Mercury and Venus can switch distances on us too. So this would still work if we're going with the ruler rather than the rulership. So I like this because Venus is now the ruler of two earth signs. She's divine feminine. So we have Earth, Taurus, Earth Mother, and then we've got Virgo, the birthing mother, sky goddess, connecting the cosmos to the matter. And then we've got Mercury in Gemini and Libra. Gemini, his home sign of thought and transaction and local energies. And then Libra is the balance, the representation, the dealing with karma. He does a much better job of that. So that's where I'm at. Those are the cuspy energies that we're working with right now. Here's the final chart. And, this, I did want to show you guys one more thing before I want to do some channel shout outs, but let me go into Prometheus Capricorn and show you what Mars is going to be doing over the next several months. Let me just see if there's anything for you guys. Let's see. All right. Lots of chats. Cool. Let's see. All right. Hi, everybody from Spring, Texas. That's Regina Kellum. Hi, welcome. All right. Lori would buy my book. Fellow traveler would buy my book. Tommy would buy my book. All right. As long as you have pictures. Okay, I can do that. Oh, and Anissa would buy a copy. Okay, cool. So I'll do it. I had an astrology teacher called limp energy. I don't know what that means. Seeking truth. Dang, missed the start. Yeah, that's okay. All right. Seeking truth was at Archaics. Hi. Yeah, that was a good chat. Oh my gosh, those two blow my mind all the time. And I love Logan. I have a little astrology crush on him. Seeking Truth's Mercury is Aquarius Western. Thanks for posting that link to get a chart. So if you guys want to check your actual constellational placements and see where your Mars is, you can go ahead and hit that link that Lori posted. Thank you, Lori, for doing that. Aquarius Sun in Vedic. A good time for conception. Oh yeah, I can tell you what that is. It's pretty straightforward. Well, kinda. You got to look at some other things, but the basic Jonas method is what you want to do is go to your, and you don't even have to use tropical or constellational. It's all about the angle between the planets. You want to look for your sun and your moon, and you want to calculate the shortest angle between them and make sure you know what phase that is. So, for example, if you were born on a full moon, you have an opposition to sun moon. Every full moon is a good time for you to conceive if you're female, regardless of when you're actually ovulating. So that's what you do. If you're born on a last quarter moon, you wait till the last quarter moon and you do that. But there's other things you want to look at too. So if you want to talk about that, you can email me and we can go deeper into that. I don't want anybody just trying to, because eclipses, you really shouldn't try to get pregnant around that either. And then there's some placements with South Node that you want to look at. Cancer is limp D energy. Oh, okay. Well, maybe. I don't know. I think if Cancer Mars can like work on themselves, I think the way that they reach the sort of arousal state that Cancer energy is to go within first. They got to find their center first. If they can find their center, then they're more likely to be more affectionate and more loving. SW says my son was conceived on October 27th. Yeah, check the lunar solar angle of that date and then check your chart. And if it's the same, then it comports. Dr. Jonas got an 80% success rate according to some very obscure documents. So it's not necessarily true, but I've been looking into it. I've had some patients of mine before I left my clinic. I gave them calendars of their ovulatory solar lunar arc, and I'm just waiting for one of them to email me back and tell me they're pregnant. So hopefully soon. Okay, yeah, let me show you something cool with this software that I have. We're going to watch Mars in action over the next few months. And then if I can get to there we go. So here is the chart for today. And what I'm going to do is animate this chart by days, and we're going to watch Mars. So Mars is right here, right on the cusp of Gemini and Cancer. And we're just going to go forward. We're going to go kind of quickly, but just keep your eyes on Mars right here. So this is dynamic aspects in motion. When we get into, look how he's slowing down. He's not really moving. So in a few days, we're going to go station retrograde right here. So on December 7th and 6th, Mars will station retrograde. Look at how long this is. So remember, December 7th, right in the heart of Cancer, all the way into January. Oh, we're going back over that critical degree. We're going back into opposition with Pluto while the sun is conjunct Pluto. Isn't that fun? And then this is about 11 or 12 weeks of retrograde for Mars. And then he'll go back direct again. So if you guys have Marses in this general space, you're going to have a lot of transiting Mars action onto your natal Mars. So we will not get out of a Cancer Mars until, let's see, May 18th. So y'all, we have 7 months of Mars in Cancer with a little bit of a retrograde jaunt into Gemini. Cool. All right, let me share. I want to shout out a couple of channels actually to you guys that I am influenced by, that I watch for entertainment, education purposes. Maybe consider my news or the way that I catch up and stay connected. There's just 3 channels. So this first one is Stephen Burns. I talked about him the other day. He does these. His thumbnails are a little funny, but he does these amazing updates about the local sun, earth interplay between their electromagnetics, the Schumann resonance. He talks about the solar flares, the CMEs, and he does a really good job. He's got this blue screen or green screen behind him, and he's pointing like he's a weatherman. And he also sells some natural products, and his channel's growing. And I really just enjoy the work that this man's doing. And I encourage you all to go and just check out his daily videos and go and subscribe to him, because I think he's on to something. He's a geologist that's taken literally all of his knowledge of geology and his study of spirituality and brought it together in just this refreshing way to present electromagnetic energy that I think will be useful to people. So I love this channel. I also love Brian Scott, Reality Revolution. I've been subscribed to Brian Scott for probably 8 years now, when he was 100,000 subs. And he's got over 2,500 videos. If you go into his playlist, you will see thousands of meditations. He's actually the reason I am on YouTube, because I wanted to bring spiritual teachings to YouTube too. And when I got into astrology and really comfortable with it, I felt like I could do both of those things with my videos. So I love this guy very much, and I hope you guys subscribe and check out what he's been doing lately are these activations, which are on fire. So there's like a manifestation activation. There is the one I really liked was the freedom activation. But anyway, you guys can check that out. I love that. And then, of course, all of you know that I'm a big fan of archaics. I love this channel has made history very interesting. All that ancient history that we had to learn to sort of pass our classes, he kind of puts it all together. And sometimes you can't understand him when you first start listening, but if you keep listening, you'll start hearing things over and over again. And he's representing stuff right now. So if you want to learn about what he teaches, it's basically the history of all that we have, all the written documentation. He's gone through it and he's put it in a chronicon. And he's found this pattern that happens throughout history that is coming from our cosmos. There's some sort of celestial event. So definitely also a great channel to listen to. So I wanted to share those with you guys so you guys could all kind of see where all my energy is coming from. I also like Mastering the Zodiac with Athen Kamenti. He's the reason that he was my light in the darkness when I had my my tropical derangement moment. So this is also a great channel to subscribe to. He's very regular. He has 3,500 videos out there. So just some channels for you guys to check out if you're interested to see what influences me. That's what it is there. So yes. All right. Okay, so what do you guys think? Any last minute thoughts or comments? Cool. Let's see. Seeking Truth, Stelliums in Gemini and Sagittarius. Yep, wisdom and knowledge. And Lease of the Norman Peoples, High Mars in Aries, 11th house. Cool. Yeah, go to the fellowship and put that in the post that I did, and I'll do your Mars in 11th house. All right, you guys. Well, I have some beautiful friends here that have come to visit me from Florida, and we are enjoying each other's company, and we're about to have some dinner. We're having steak, Brussels sprouts, and French fries. So I just feel so blessed and happy that I got to hang out with you guys, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'm probably going to go live on Friday afternoon. I really like doing that, and I want to talk to you about the coming new moon. Okay? And we'll see what lessons the sky has for us. But it's been an honor and a privilege. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you all next time. Namaste, my loves. Bye.